My beloved child, before you listen to any word I am about to speak, let your soul pause for just one breath right here, right in this moment unfolding between you and me. For this moment is not like the ordinary moments you walk through each day. This is the moment that marks the completion of a hidden season in your life. The moment I stand before you, place my hand upon your soul, and declare with a tenderness filled with power, you have crossed over. Not by your own strength, not by the willpower you use to hold yourself together, not by striving to prove anything. You crossed over because I was with you in every quiet rhythm, in every dark corner, unseen by others, in every night when you thought you were merely trying to survive. I know every weariness, every heavy step, every moment you wanted to give up yet chose to hold on to the smallest flicker of light. And today I affirm what heaven has long seen. Clearly you have completed the hidden season of surrender, a season no one praised, no one noticed, no one understood. Yet I myself measured it and preserved it. Many believe surrender is easy, but I saw you walk through it as though passing through a furnace of the soul, where you had to release things you believed were part of you, where you had to detach from what once felt safe, where you had to face truths that made no noise yet cut deeply to the marrow of your being. I know letting go is not natural for you. I know it is not easy for you to walk away from what once gave you comfort. But you chose surrender. You chose to lay down what no longer belonged to you. Even when it felt familiar, you chose to let me refine the thoughts, the reactions. The old patterns you once assumed were your nature, and you allowed me to peel back each layer with honesty, without resistance, without hiding. You thought you were simply trying to do the right thing, but in truth, you were walking through a purification journey that very few are entrusted to enter with me. I want you to hear this with your whole spirit. Your hidden season was not wasted. It was not a time of my silence out of distance. It was the time when I wrapped your soul carefully to realign the things no one knew you were carrying. Those silent spaces were not emptiness. They were heaven's laboratory, where I rebuilt the core of who you are. I do not construct you with the world's noise. I build you through the quiet places where only I dwell. And in that quiet, you were separated from everything that no longer belonged to you. Unhealthy connections, old habits that pulled you backward, sources of energy that had expired, emotions that once controlled you, words that once made you doubt. I removed them from your soul, slowly yet decisively. Like a father who knows exactly what has harmed you, even though you had grown accustomed to living with them for far too long. You did not understand what was happening, but I know you sensed that you were no longer who you were, even though you could not yet see who you were becoming. That is the sign of true refinement. You felt pulled away from old rhythms, but not yet stepping into the new. You felt caught between two currents, belonging to neither. You felt disconnected from what once attracted you, yet unfamiliar with the depth I was drawing you into. You felt lost, but in truth you were being separated. You felt empty, but in truth you were being cleansed. You felt slow, but in truth you were being rebuilt. These feelings were not failures. They were heaven's announcement that you were being prepared to be connected to a sacred flow. And today, I proclaim this clearly over your soul. You have been grafted into the sacred lineage of the chosen, not the lineage of those who walk casually, not the lineage of those who walk halfway, not the lineage of those who chase feelings. You have been grafted into the stream of those marked by divine selection, those not chosen because they were strong, but because they surrendered, not chosen because they were skilled, but because they were willing to let the Father transform their inner being, not chosen because they impressed anyone, but because they were faithful in seasons no one witnessed. You thought you were hidden, but heaven recorded every step. You thought you were small, but I saw in you a strength that only refinement could reveal. When I say you have been grafted into a sacred lineage, what does that mean? It means that from today on, the flow running through your soul is no longer the flow of the old. It no longer moves through instability of emotion. It no longer moves through limiting beliefs. It no longer moves through the lies you once embraced. The current of your life now connects directly to the life of heaven, to the stream of identity, calling, and spiritual authority established for you from eternity. This does not come through excitement. It comes through confirmation. I confirm that you are ready to step into the new chapter I have designed for you. Not because you are perfect, not because weakness has left you, but because the inside of you has been dealt with. My child, the new chapter of your life is not a chapter of ambiguity. It is a chapter of spiritual clarity. In this chapter, your true identity is no longer concealed. It rises like a seed that has reached its season to break through the soil. In this chapter, your calling is no longer a drifting idea. It becomes a direction with weight, substance, and unmistakable imprint. In this chapter, your spiritual authority is no longer dormant. It begins to operate in the very timing heaven has marked. That authority does not come through loudness, but through steadiness, not through force, but through light. Not through trying to appear strong, but through the deep knowing that your Father has set you apart to carry a different flow into the world. My beloved child, I know you still wonder, am I truly ready? Listen to me carefully. You are ready in the way of heaven, not in the standards of man. Your readiness is not measured by how strong you feel. It is measured by knowing the one who is your strength. Not by seeing every step clearly, but by trusting me enough to take the first one. Not by possessing absolute confidence, but by surrendering so fully that I can use you in the way I desire. Heavenly readiness always follows your surrender. And you have surrendered. You allowed me to refine you. You allowed me to separate you from what was never meant for you. You allowed me to lead you through places no one understood. You held on to me when you could see nothing but fog. That is the evidence of spiritual readiness. Today, I affirm this clearly: you have entered a new chapter, not an experimental chapter, not a temporary one, not a let's see what happens phase. This is the chapter I have long appointed to be opened at the exact time, and that time is now. And now, I am awakening your true identity. I am unveiling your mission. I am activating the spiritual authority within you. You are not misplaced. You are not out of season. You are not late. You are right on heaven's time. Now allow your soul to stand tall in the strength being awakened. Because from here, my words will no longer carry only gentleness, but the weight of selection, words with authority that cause even the heavens to pause. You have walked through enough hidden seasons to understand that my quietness never diminishes my power. And today, I speak directly to the core of who you are. You are chosen, not by accident, not by coincidence, not because you were acceptable enough, but because you have demonstrated a quality few can sustain over long seasons. You surrendered when no one was watching, remained faithful when no one applauded, and kept your spirit from the wrong voices when everything around you was shaking. I saw that, and I command your soul to stand in its rightful position. Do not see yourself as ordinary anymore. From today forward, what does not belong to you is not permitted to cling to you. What has expired is not allowed to return, and what I have cut away must remain behind. You are not allowed to turn back, not allowed to call old connections forward again, not allowed to shrink yourself to fit places I have already led you out of. This is the decree for one who has been refined. Walk straight ahead. Do not look back. I want you to hear this with spiritual alertness. You are no longer in the stage of learning foundational lessons. You have been brought into the operational stage of one who carries heaven's imprint. Every hidden lesson was not merely for understanding, but for forming true authority within you, an authority that does not come from loud declarations but from deep surrender. And now, I speak directly to every trembling part within you. Be still. Every voice of doubt must become powerless. Every feeling of not enough must leave your mind at once. Every trace of inferiority that has weighed you down must dissolve from your soul like dust meeting fire. You no longer walk by fluctuating emotion. You walk by my command. You stand not because you feel strong. You stand because I say, stand. You move not because everything feels secure. You move because I command. Go. This is how the chosen operate, not by mood, but by the imprint placed upon them. From today forward, your mind must stand under the truth I declare. Your emotions must stand under the peace I give, and your will must yield under my leading. I want you to understand what you have not dared to accept. For many years you were not created to blend in. You were created to stand out in the way heaven defines. I tested your heart in the days of silence to see whether you would keep the posture of surrender. And you did. I allowed you to walk through seasons unseen to measure your faithfulness, and you did not leave your post. I examined your motives in the moments no one knew you were fighting, and you still chose what was right instead of what was easy. These are the evidences heaven uses to confirm you are someone I can entrust with responsibility. Therefore, I decree this with full power. You are permitted to step out of every small image of who you once were. You must rise above fear. You must move above doubt. You must speak according to the truth I have placed. You are no longer bound by stories that have passed their time. You have been set apart, and one who has been set apart must not live like the former version of themselves. Listen slowly and deeply. The holy current is flowing into you so that you may operate, not merely feel. You are not only a keeper of the flame, you are a carrier of the flow. You do not only carry compassion, you carry a mandate. You do not only bear my presence, you bear authority. Wherever you stand, the spiritual atmosphere of that place must shift. Wherever you speak, the darkness in that place must retreat. Wherever you step, what is out of alignment must be corrected. This is the nature of the chosen, not waiting for the environment to change before functioning, but bringing the change into the environment. Therefore, I command your soul to stop lowering itself to fit the expectations of others. Stop shrinking to avoid attention. Stop disregarding what I have placed within you. The chosen do not make themselves small. The chosen stand at the stature they have been trained to carry. And I engrave this decree upon your soul as a sacred seal. You are ready for the new chapter. And the new chapter has already opened before you. You are not out of time. You are not out of season. You are not late. You are precisely at the moment heaven recorded long before. Step into the position that has been prepared. Receive the authority that has been entrusted. Move in the rhythm that has been awakened within you. From this day forward, you operate as one who carries chosenness without hesitation, without seeking permission, without waiting for human validation. You go because I declare the time has come. Let your soul stand in the majesty I am placing upon you now. For my words in this hour are not merely to comfort or uplift, but to proclaim, to mark, to affirm what has already been written in eternity concerning you. From now on, every sentence you hear is no longer just a reminder. It is a decree, an establishment, a prophetic voice speaking directly into the foundation of your life to open a chapter with eternal significance. You have passed through refinement. You have broken away from the old. You have surrendered in the secret place. And now I declare with the solemnity of heaven, you are stepping into a time in which every movement of your life will bear the imprint of eternal design. Not a temporary chapter, not a brief phase, but a season that marks a shift in destiny. This is where you stand not merely as a spiritual person, but as one who carries a heavenly mandate. Hear this with the reverence of your soul. Everything I wrote for your life before the world was formed is being activated. Not in fragments, but in layers, not by emotion, but by truth sealed long ago. You do not only carry a purpose, you carry a heavenly record. You do not only live for the present, you are stepping into the flow I prepared from eternity, where every step you place upon the earth responds to a movement in the unseen realm. This is why I led you through refinement, so you could receive this weight without breaking, carry this light without being hidden, and stand in this authority without being shaken. I want your soul to perceive what natural eyes cannot see. You were not chosen merely to live differently. You were chosen to carry a portion of heaven's flow into the realm of humanity. What does that mean? It means that from this moment on, everything you do, every word you speak, every step you take carries an impact beyond your own life. You are no longer living only for your personal transformation, but for those who are attached to your life in this new chapter. You become a point of contact, a place where, when you arrive, another dimension of life is opened. You are the sap drawn from the heavenly root into the spiritual body I am building. You cannot shrink back. You cannot retreat. You cannot doubt what I have placed within you anymore. I speak this as an eternal imprint. The authority you carry does not come from experience, but from predestination. Experience only affirms it, but predestination is its root. I have said enough to heaven about you that every spiritual power must respect your presence, not because you are great, but because you belong to me, not because you are flawless, but because my seal rests upon you. When you walk, the darkness recognizes what you carry even before you are conscious of it. When you speak, the heavens listen to align. When you stand, the unseen realm adjusts itself around you. You do not realize it, but power follows you like a shadow, not power you produce, but power I have entrusted to you. Receive this truth as a flame placed into your very bones. You are stepping into the season of harvest for the years you have lived in secrecy. Not a single tear you sowed will be lost. Not a single prayer whispered in the night will be ignored. Not a single moment you chose the right thing with no witness will be forgotten. Heaven has collected every smallest action, every breath that kept you from what was not yours. And now it becomes a unique form of authority, the authority of one who has been validated by endurance. This is something even the mighty cannot counterfeit, the weight carried by one who has passed through refinement without losing purity. I speak this with the majesty of the one who holds time. The new door has opened, and you may cross it not by striving, but by inheritance. You inherit what has been inscribed with your name in the treasury of the Spirit. You inherit the flow carried by those who went before you in the holy lineage. You inherit authority to break what binds others. You inherit the ability to perceive what is hidden. You inherit discernment beyond emotion. You inherit a peace that surpasses understanding. This is not a reward. This is the activation of a heavenly design. Stand firm, my child, for I want you to know this. The mission you carry does not only change your path, it changes the atmosphere you step into. Wherever your feet touch, the spiritual reality of that place must realign. Wherever you pray, the atmosphere must grow clearer. Wherever you speak, things that have been locked for years must begin to tremble. You are no longer the one asking for signs. You are becoming the one who creates them. You are no longer the one searching for direction. You are becoming the one who carries direction for others. And I want your soul to hear this as thunder striking stone. You carry eternity. What you do in this chapter does not only shape the present, it enters the memory of heaven. It forms pathways for those who will come after you. It becomes part of the spiritual inheritance I am writing through your life. You are not insignificant. You are not faint. You are not random. You are a link in a design greater than yourself. And that link is now marked with light, with authority, with a prophetic mantle that clears the way. In the stillness I am placing over you, you do not need to understand everything I am doing. Here, you do not need arguments. You do not need logic to measure. You do not need a clear explanation for every movement. You only need to let your soul soak into the heavenly current being opened. When you step through a hidden season, you are not only leaving a stage of life, you are leaving behind old ways of seeing yourself, your life, and the limits you once believed in. And now, as eternal authority rises within you, I want the breath of peace to cover you like soft soil, embracing the roots of a young tree newly planted in blessed ground. You no longer have to strain to look like someone else, because your truest nature is being awakened from within. Your identity will not come from effort, but from the very stream of life you have been grafted into. And when that stream flows, strength does not need to shout. It rises naturally like light when night dissolves. There is no need to rush. Spiritual transfer never asks you to be hasty. It unfolds the way the sun rises, soundless, unhurried, yet powerful enough to change the entire sky. I have seen you grow weary in many seasons because you thought you had to prove your readiness. But now, you do not have to prove anything. When I say you have crossed over, it means you have crossed over. When I say you are grafted into the holy lineage, it means you are standing exactly where heaven intended. Everything that remains is simply the flow soaking deep, strengthening, stabilizing, ripening. No one sees the roots grow, yet they grow. No one hears the soil crack, yet the sprout emerges. And no one hears the sound of your soul transforming. Yet every realm of heaven knows a new person is being formed within you, one who will carry a weight that cannot be denied. There are moments when you think transformation must be loud, must be dramatic, must come with obvious signs. But I do not work that way. The greatest things I do in a life always begin in silence. Heaven's majesty does not need spotlight. It requires foundation. And that foundation was what I built during the nights you believed you were merely trying to survive one more day. You did not know that every difficult breath, every time you chose to believe, even when your emotions felt empty, every time you placed your hand over your heart and whispered, "I will not give up." All of these were recorded in heaven's memory as foundational stones for the mission you are now stepping into. Not a single drop wasted, not a single day meaningless, not a single season overlooked. Now, as I open the new chapter, I am not erasing the old one, I am using it. What you learned will become compass. What you endured will become weight. What you thought was loss will become authority. The old cuts will no longer hurt, but they will remain as marks, not marks to shame you, but marks reminding you that you were forged by real fire. And whoever has been forged by real fire does not easily break under wind. You remain standing not because you were strong on your own, but because I stood with you on the days when all you had left was a single thread of hope. I held that thread until it turned into a rope, strong enough to pull others out of their own pits. I want you to receive this deeply. You are not entering a new chapter just to live better, but to carry spiritual influence. When I say you are joined to a holy lineage, it means the life flow of those who walked before you in faithfulness, those who carried grace, carried fire, carried authority is now moving through you. There is no break between heaven and you, only continuation. You are not beginning from zero. You are beginning from the foundation laid by those who once stood where you stand now. You are placed into the lineage not to sit in admiration, but to carry that flow into your own generation. And as you do, you will not only follow footprints, you will carve new ones. Do not fear the greatness of what I have placed within you. I do not give you anything beyond your capacity. I give you what aligns with your true nature, the very nature you have not fully seen because it was covered by seasons of exhaustion. But now that veil has fallen, the deceiving voices have gone silent. The old identities have lost their power. What remains is you, the you I intended. The you shaped by my light. The you strengthened through every trial. the you who carries the authority I have given. When you stand in that version of yourself, you will realize you no longer need to strain to resemble someone else, because heaven wrote you with a substance no one else carries. I am opening your eyes to the places you will go, not through physical sight, but through the widening of your soul. You will recognize that you no longer respond out of fear, but out of discernment, no longer swayed by the emotions of others, but steady beneath the atmosphere of heaven, no longer drawn by external noise, but led by inner direction. You will feel the areas I want you to step into like a gentle pull in the spirit. And when you follow, you will see things unfold smoothly, as though the heavens prepared them beforehand, because they truly have. There are things you once called coincidences, but they were signs. There are people you thought you met by chance, but they were appointments. There are words you never planned to say but spoke at the exact needed moment, as though someone placed them on your tongue. That was me using you. And in this new chapter, these things will become even clearer. You will see yourself responding differently, thinking differently, feeling differently, moving differently, not because you try, but because the new nature within you has begun to operate. Transformation that flows from within always lasts longer than transformation forced from the outside. I want to lay deep in your soul a profound rest. You do not need to fear being not enough for this new chapter. I do not bring you to the threshold and then leave you. I do not set a weight upon you and expect you to carry it alone. I do not open a new season and then abandon you to figure out the path. I have already gone ahead. I have already drawn the blueprint. All I need is for you to walk with me, not faster, not slower, not sideways. When you move in that rhythm, everything will align like gears crafted to perfection, not because life becomes easier, but because you become calibrated. And when what is inside you is aligned, what is outside you follows. In this process, I want you to allow yourself to breathe, to live, to feel light again, to rest in my leading. For many years, you have lived with the mindset of just push a little more, as though your survival depended on your constant tension. But now, with absolute certainty, I tell you, you are no longer in the place where you must strain. You are standing in the place where you are led. You are no longer in a realm where life is a battle. You are in a realm where life is a flow. You are no longer in a place where you must fight to remain. You are in a place where I uphold you with my own hands. When this truth sinks into you, you will no longer try to do the right thing. You will live rightly. You will no longer try to hold yourself together. You will stand naturally steady. You will no longer try to figure out what you're doing wrong. You will hear a gentle guiding voice within, and that voice will lead you without pressure. This is the operation of the Holy Current, a flow that does not function by force, but by life. And finally, I want you to recognize this as a note engraved deep into your bones. You were appointed for this hour, not another time, not a distant future, not a future version of you who is more perfect. Right now, this present moment, this breath, heaven has waited long enough for you to reach this point. And now every layer is opening for you to step into your portion. Not rushed, but not delayed. Not pressured, but not passive. This is the hour I bring you into motion. And you will feel every layer of light unfolding like dawn rising over the mountain's peak. And now, as every word settles, I leave upon your soul a deep stillness, the stillness of someone who knows they are standing in the right time, the right place, and the right flow that was ordained since eternity. You are not walking away from this message as someone who merely heard a word, but as someone freshly marked. Every step ahead will carry light. Every decision will carry guidance. Every breath will remind you that you are living in the new chapter that is yours. I am here, and I will remain here, Thank you for listening to this message. Know that you are not merely an audience. You are one who has been chosen to live in the presence of God's Word each day. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any sacred message. Amen.